Okay, people, School of Motion, assignment 3. 3 and 4. My voice has kind of got shot because of the allergy, so bear with me. It might be a little draggy, but I'm going to jump into showing you guys what I did for the I think this was the third week. Yeah, third week of School of Motion, which would be assignment 3 and 4. So I'm going to kind of just run over 3 and then run over 4. Like the previous videos, I'm not going to unveil too much information just for the sake of the course and just kind of jump into what I did. So the first part of the week for week 3 was dedicated towards creating these style frames. Basically creating style frames for a fictitious project for NASA that they're coming out with a show about Mars or stuff about people going to Mars and stuff like that. So what we had to do for that first part of the week was create two concepts and style frame those out. What would it look like? How would it look? Colored palettes, this and that, everything pretty much. So these are the two that you're seeing pretty much here. So we got the first one here, which was this kind of like cooler concept, more kind of has that space kind of vibe. Got the real kind of colors in that realm. And then here's for the first style frame that I came up with, and then the second style frame. So the requirement for this was to have one with copy, which was the tags, all the tags that had it. So like the logo, the timing, the network, and all that stuff. And then the second one was just composition. You could just pick whatever you wanted and just kind of show what your idea was for style framing. So this was my first concept, and then heavily based off of like these kind of examples that I saw from doing research on Pinterest, Dribbble, Behance, things like that. We were doing a lot of reference researching throughout the time of like doing these projects. So here's the second concept that I kind of came up with. Has more of like the warmer tones, bringing more of like that rocket kind of feel towards it too, kind of giving more of the Mars kind of vibe too. So here's the one mock-up that I did, and a second mock-up, and then the total mock-up. So this was like my inspiration moving forward for these style frames. So after completing this project, you pick one direction and you go with that direction, which is the second part of the week's homework assignment, is to create 6 boards based off of that concept. And so I took the blue concept because I'm a big guy of blue, and so I went with that one. And then having this concept already done with 2 boards, we just have to create 4 more. Just before we jump into this Photoshop file, here's a brief that kind of runs down what happens, who, what, where, why, and how. So you can see pretty straightforward. So most of the homework assignments are pretty similar in the sense of what they ask of you to do. It's just the content, like each brief will be different, right? Okay, so bringing it all together, these were the 6 boards that I got to come up with in that week's homework assignment. I was pretty proud. I got to play with a lot of stuff, meaning in the sense of composition. I took one of the images and composition that I had laid out and brought it into this set because I thought it fit pretty well in the sense of the story, and then just recolored it so it fit the color palette that we were going with this one. So really, ideally, I only really had to make 3 title cards, and then 2 of them were copy, which is pretty easy too. So like I played around with a lot of Illustrator too. So creating assets in Illustrator, I don't know if I'm going to be able to pull it up this fast. Oh, maybe I can. Creating assets in Illustrator for things like the popping that you see in the video that I created, which you'll see at the end of this video. And then a lot of the other assets that you see are just grid elements and things like that can kind of like accompany the main design itself. So here are the first full 6 boards put out. And you can see like layers wise what's going on here. It's not too much. It's just a lot of overlays and just playing with things that kind of work together, playing with elements that I thought would fit the theme of it. Very grid heavy things, very Doppler heavy things, meaning like radar and things like that. So it's typical folder structure. They try to tell you to keep as like clean as possible, which I usually do anyways. And yeah, I think the titles came out fairly well too. I think overall I was very happy with this sequence in the sense of the boards coming together fairly well. And even more importantly, the design of it. I thought I did a pretty good job in the sense of compositionally creating things that looked pretty cool too. And then, at the end it actually animated fairly well too. So this is a Photoshop file that I used for the animation itself. So you could see like I had to come in because a lot of this stuff was baked. The astronaut obviously was not baked in, but a lot of the other elements that I needed to kind of pull apart that I thought would look good to animate were a part of the actual composition. So clone stamping everything out and creating like the background so it kind of looks seamless. Like again, you could fake a lot of stuff in animation, which is a great part. So you can see like the clone stamp didn't, and content aware fill didn't do too good of a job in that large of an area when there's not that much information. So you'll see in the animation I played it so like that would play out pretty well. And I incorporated some other things too. This was one of the heavier scenes that I had to comp out. I think the third one was also another scene, which you could see because I was like, I wanted to have the two pieces of like the spaceship kind of just floating towards each other. And so getting them out was a little bit difficult, but wasn't too bad because of like the darker tones. It was easier to kind of clone stamp, but I knew I was going to be moving in that direction inward. So everything moving in seemed pretty blotchy, but I knew that once the spaceships kind of came out, the eye wouldn't be so directed towards the background that much. So, and then, just added those elements in that I created in Illustrator and trying to add some secondary stuff in. After looking at things in the animation, I kept some stuff and didn't keep some stuff. So overall, yeah, this was a pretty fun project. I thought the animation came out pretty cool. I thought everything that I did design-wise was a really cool concept. I think this was the first project that kind of got me into like showing me like, oh, okay, maybe I can be a little creative and can create some pretty cool things. And so there's plenty more to come. I did tons of other title design work, which I thought I love to do. It seems like I like animating it too as well. So do check out the animation. And if you have any questions, hit that comment. Thanks, guys.